Hi, it's Carlos from RC Advisor. This is a real review of the Turnigy 760 LV-HV servo tester. And you might be asking yourself, why do I need a servo tester? You can just hook up your servos to your receiver and use your transmitter to test everything out. And I've actually done that for years, and it works fine. Well, I guess it's mostly a matter of convenience, but I would say safety also. You turn on your transmitter, you're risking turning on the electric motor when you don't want to. And I'm always very concerned that I'm going to move the throttle stick by accident here in the shop, and I'm going to have an accident. And a lot of the time I'll do some sort of fail-safe, but it's just extra work. So servo tester, you don't need to worry about any kind of radio interference. You're just at home, and just really handy. This is I call this a high-end unit. It's very good looking. It doesn't weigh much. I think just like an ounce or two, and nice big bright red button. Even though I think they come in different color combinations. So it's a tool for testing servos. And something that I've learned is that some brand new servos, even two identical looking servos, the chances are they're not going to behave exactly the same way. So testing them on something that is a known quantity, there's no transmitter programming involved, with this thing. You know that if you move it to a certain point, it's going to be always the same at that setting. And so I think it's handy for testing a brand new servo. A nice feature that this unit has is that you can drive up to 4 servos at the same time, which again, in theory, you can do that with a receiver, either with a servo splitter or I guess through programming, but this is so much easier. And also in a case like this where you damage the servo, I had a crash, I lost the bottom part of the case. I mean, I'm planning on throwing it out anyway, but I thought it would be good for testing. But it's like, gee, I'm not so sure about the servo anymore. Let me put it through some testing. And I think the final use case that I can think of is when you're testing a motor. Again, you could do it through a transmitter, but it's a lot easier to just plug in the speed control into this and have very precise control over how much power you're applying to the motor. So it's just a handy thing to have. I think it's got some nice safety aspects to it, and they don't cost much. This one was $8, and I actually consider this one like a deluxe high-end unit. You can find other ones for like $4 or $5, I think, but something that I wanted a good one. If I'm gonna go through the trouble of getting it, I'll spend a couple of extra bucks. So what can this unit do? Well, I mean, first of all, it's got some nice instructions, which don't take for granted. But it's in English, some pictures. I mean, it's just very, very, very well done. Let me zoom in to the instructions, and made it very clear how to use it. It's got actually 3 modes of operation. But before I do that, let me just turn it on. It can support the standard, 15-20 microsecond pulse width, or 760. With 760, it's a lot less common. So the instructions do warn you to plug in the power first. I'm going to do that, and it's pretty clear. There's a nice blue LED that comes on, so that was nice too. And let me move this over here, plug in the servo, and it also nicely labeled. So as soon as I plugged it in, the servo came to life, and now I'm in manual mode. So any movement of the stick here, will move the servo an equal amount. And something interesting I noticed right away is that past a certain point, past like value number 1 on the dial, the servo just doesn't move. And that's what's happening, is that the servo just doesn't respond to a signal that's that long or that short. So there's there's nothing wrong with the servo, it's normal, but just kind of keep that in mind. the connectors will work with both JR and Futaba. You know, they are keyed, but if it doesn't have a key, that's fine. You know, this is a JR battery, and it went in fine into the input side. But it's got a couple of other modes. I mean, this manual mode is what is standard. It's what you normally find in a servo tester. But it's got you push the button and it goes into neutral mode, which means you just take the servo into what the servo considers neutral, which frankly, that by itself might be worth it, make the unit worth it for me, because that's what I'm always doing. I mean, I'm having to turn on, you know, the receiver, transmitter, just to bring the servo to neutral before I hook it up, because I can't trust that it's in neutral. So that's really handy, and most of the units don't have that. So that I like that a lot. But then it's got a very nice auto mode that just cycles the servo back and forth. Again, very handy, especially if you have more than one servo and they're supposed to be the same, but you for some reason you don't think they are. And you control the speed of the turning by turning the dial, so you can go, you know, pretty slow. You know, that's the slowest that it'll go right there. But you can also crank it up, and now, you know, it's going faster and faster. And at the fastest mode, that's cranking it. So I guess it's a very good way of doing like a torture test on a servo. Again, a servo that you're not so sure about, just leave it cycling for a little while. Who knows what you might learn. So there's a couple of disadvantages to the unit that I see. Again, this is a real review. Again, I paid about $8, which is a little high. You know, I mean, it's just a couple of bucks more than what other units go for, and for the extra features and the nice looking, you know, the blue LED. So I think it was well worth the $8. But you know, you may want to spend less. You know, it just depends how often you think you'll use it. I think my biggest warning with this unit is that it's got a switch to switch between normal and narrow range and the pulse width, and mine came set to the narrow range, which I didn't like that at all. And in fact, I tried moving the switch just to make sure, and it didn't move, and I was like, okay, it's gotta be okay. Well, the thing is that the switch is a little bit hard to move, so be certain that it's in the normal range, because you can actually cause damage to the servo, and the instructions warn you can also cause damage to the unit. So just be careful about that. Just check it. I didn't like it that it came set to narrow, because almost everybody is going to be in the normal range, and the way this is labeled, they don't really give you a hint. You know, unless you know that 1520 is normal, you're not gonna know. So it's an easy mistake to make, and you could burn up a good servo and the unit while you're at it. A nice feature is that it's got a very wide voltage range that it can handle. It can handle from 3 volts to 12.6, and that's designed so that you can put in from a single cell to a single cell to 3 cell lithium polymer battery, which is nice. Now the big caveat with that is that the voltage that's passed to the servo is just a pass-through voltage. There's no voltage regulation in here, which, you know, for $8, it would have been nice to see that, because if there's voltage regulation, then it's a much more repeatable test that you do, because as the battery runs down, that means the speed of the servo is going to vary. You know, but if there's voltage regulation, then it's always the same voltage going out, and you know, it's a nicer unit. So keep that in mind, because most servos, they can't handle. I mean, it'll vary, but more than 7 or 8 volts, the servos just can't handle it. So you could plug in, you know, a 12 volt, 3 cell lithium polymer battery, and the unit can handle it, but the servo won't be able to. So you got, be a little careful with that. So that's another thing that's, it's not perfect, but I'm not sure there's anything out there that has voltage regulation, servo tester. And then the final, minor negative thing that I see is that it's got this tiny little feet, but they're plastic. So the thing doesn't stick in one spot. And just now when I was testing it, it was kind of a pain to to turn this, you know, because the unit wants to turn. So that's actually a disappointment. Again, for a deluxe unit like this, I was expecting something better on the bottom. I don't know if I'm gonna go to the trouble of, you know, adding something myself. But, you know, those are minor things. Actually, I don't know if anything else out there that's better, that doesn't have those minor negative points. Because overall, I like it a lot. It's nice looking, very nice. You know, I like this big, nice dial. So overall, I definitely recommend it, you know, and till next time.